Your knees don't lie to you, your ego does. That moment you almost drop your bike at a stoplight, the one you laughed off, that was not bad luck. That was your BPDY sending you a memo, and a trike is not giving up. It might be the smartest riding decision you make all decade. But here's the part nobody tells you. Half the riders who switch regret it, and it is not for the reason you think. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which trike setup fits your body, your budget, and your pride. Chapter 1. What actually pushes riders to trikes? Honestly, nobody wakes up one morning and randomly decides they want 3 wheels instead of 2. There's always a trigger, and if you're honest with yourself, it's usually one of a handful of things. And most of them have been building quietly for years before they finally push someone into a dealership. The first reason is low-speed balance. Not highway balance, that's rarely the issue. It's the parking lot crawl, the U-turn in a narrow street, the stop and go in traffic that used to feel automatic and now feels like a small negotiation with gravity every single time. That hesitation, that split second where your brain used to just handle it and now it pauses, that's the moment a lot of riders quietly start Googling trike prices at 11 at night. The second is weight at a stop. A fully loaded touring bike can sit anywhere from 700 to over 900 pounds. And holding that upright at a red light with your feet doing all the work is a genuinely different physical task at 60 than it was at 30. This isn't about strength disappearing overnight, it's about the margin shrinking. And margins matter enormously on 2 wheels. The third is the knees, the hips, the general mechanics of getting a leg over a tall seat and then holding a heavy bike. Steady while you do it. Nobody wants to talk about this one out loud at the bike night, but it's probably the single most common private reason riders start shopping trikes. And the fourth, the one that ties all 3 together, is confidence. Not fitness, not skill, confidence. You can be perfectly capable and still find yourself tensing up at every stop sign because your brain remembers a close call from 18 months ago and won't let it go. That tension is exhausting, and eventually it makes the whole hobby feel like work instead of freedom. There's also a fifth trigger that rarely gets said out loud, and that's a close call. A near miss at a stoplight, a slow speed drop in a gravel driveway, a moment where the bike started to lean the wrong way and you caught it. Barely. That single event can rewrite your relationship with riding overnight, even if nothing was actually damaged, even if nobody else even saw it happen. The bike didn't change, you changed. And that's a completely normal, completely human response that deserves a real answer, not a shrug. Once you know your trigger, the next question is whether a trike actually solves it, and the answer is more complicated than the dealership wants you to think. Now at Chapter 2, what a trike actually fixes. Let's give credit where it's due, because a trike genuinely, mechanically fixes some of this, and this chapter is where we stop being skeptical for a minute and just look at what actually changes the moment that third wheel touches pavement. The weight at a stop issue gone. A trike sits on its own 3 contact patches, whether you're moving or sitting perfectly still at a light. There's no tipping point to manage, no dead leg holding 400 pounds upright while you wait for a green light. That single change removes an enormous amount of physical and mental load from every single ride. Low-speed maneuvering also improves, though not as completely as people expect. You're no longer balancing, that part is true, but you are now steering a wider, heavier vehicle through the same gaps you used to thread on 2 wheels, and that brings its own learning curve, which we'll get to honestly in a minute. The getting on and off issue improves too, particularly on the Can-Am Ryker style reverse trikes, where the seat height and the whole ergonomic package tends to be friendlier to hips and knees than a traditional cruiser. And there's a quieter benefit that riders don't mention enough: the ability to keep riding through minor physical setbacks. A knee surgery, a shoulder that doesn't rotate the way it used to, a balance issue that a doctor flagged but didn't say stop riding, just said be careful. A trike can be the difference between hanging up the keys entirely and simply adjusting how you ride. That's not a small thing. That's years of riding, potentially. So the trike fixes standing weight, it improves getting on and off, it removes the tipping physics entirely, and it can genuinely restore a passenger's confidence too. Genuinely useful across the board. But notice what's still missing from that list, because Chapter 3 is where this video earns its honesty. If this video is helping you think through the decision, subscribe right now so you never miss the next one. Because every video on this channel is built to give you the straight answer nobody at the dealership will. Now let's get back to the video, because for every problem a trike genuinely fixes, there's one it quietly creates. Chapter 3 tells you exactly where the real cost of 3 wheels shows up, dropping it down. To Chapter 3, what a trike does not fix, and when it becomes a bad option. This is the chapter the dealership brochure will never show you, so pay attention. A trike does not fix cornering confidence. In fact, for a lot of riders, it makes cornering feel stranger before it feels better, because you're no longer leaning into a turn the way your body has done instinctively for decades. You're pushing the vehicle through the turn instead, and that retraining period catches people off guard. Some riders love the new feel within a week, others fight it for months. There's no guarantee which one you'll be. Width in traffic is the next honest cost. A Can-Am Spyder or a Harley freewheeler is significantly wider than the 2-wheeled bike sitting next to it, sometimes by well over a foot. Lane splitting is gone, obviously, but so is the easy confidence of squeezing through a gap in stopped traffic that a 2-wheeler could always find. You're now driving something closer to a small car in width with none of a car's crumple zones. Tire costs are a real, ongoing expense that almost nobody mentions until they're already 3 years into ownership. 2 rear tires instead of 1. And on many trike platforms, those rear tires wear noticeably faster than a standard motorcycle tire because they're doing more lateral work in every turn. Depending on the platform, riders report replacing rear tires anywhere from every 6,000 to every 12,000 miles, and a pair can run several $100s before labor. It adds up, and it adds up faster than most new trike owners expect. Parking gets trickier too. That extra width and the longer wheelbase on some conversions means the tight motorcycle-only parking spot at your favorite diner may simply no longer fit you, and you'll find yourself hunting for a regular car space instead, every single time. And then there's resale, the quiet one. Conversion trikes in particular can be a genuinely tough sell down the line because the buyer pool is smaller, financing can be more complicated for a modified title, and the conversion itself ages, meaning a 15-year-old trike conversion is often worth notably less relative to its original cost than a 15-year-old standard motorcycle would be. Insurance is another quiet line item worth mentioning. Trikes are sometimes classified differently than standard motorcycles depending on your state and your insurer, and that classification can swing your premium noticeably in either direction. So it's worth an actual phone call to your agent before you buy, not an assumption based on what your 2-wheeler used to cost. Crosswind behavior changes too, and this one genuinely surprises new trike riders. A gust that a 2-wheeler simply leans into and absorbs will instead try to physically push a wider, flatter trike sideways across its lane, particularly on an open highway or a bridge crossing. It's manageable once you know it's coming, but the first time it happens unexpectedly, it can rattle even an experienced rider. Garage storage deserves a mention too, because that extra width doesn't disappear once you're home. A standard motorcycle bay in a garage was sized for a machine roughly 3 feet wide, and a trike can push past 4 feet, sometimes closer to 5, on the bigger touring platforms. If your garage is already tight, measure before you buy, not after the delivery truck shows up. So here's the honest scorecard. A trike fixes standing weight and tipping physics completely. It does not fix cornering confidence, and it actively adds width, tire cost, parking friction, and resale complexity. If your trigger was purely the weight at stops, this might be a fantastic move. If your trigger was cornering anxiety specifically, a trike alone will not solve it, and you deserve to know that before you spend a single dollar. Now that you know what you're buying into, the next decision is how you buy it, and that choice alone can swing your total cost by thousands of dollars. Splitting the field at Chapter 4, Factory Trikes versus Conversion Kits. Now that you know what you're actually buying, let's talk about the 2 completely different ways to get one, because this decision changes everything downstream. A factory trike is built as a trike from the frame up. Can-Am and Harley-Davidson both do this. You order it, you finance it like any other vehicle. It has 1 clean title, 1 warranty, 1 manufacturer standing behind the whole machine. Simpler, more predictable, generally more expensive up front. A conversion kit takes a 2-wheeled motorcycle you already own or buy specifically for this purpose, and a specialist shop bolts, welds, and engineers a rear axle assembly onto it. Companies like Motortrike, Roadsmith, Hannigan, and California Sidecar have been doing this for decades, mostly on Honda Goldwings and Harley touring models. Here's where the real numbers matter. A conversion kit alone, before you factor in the donor motorcycle you already own or need to buy, typically runs from around $8,000 up to $12,000, and that price does not usually include professional installation, paint matching, or shipping, which can ADD another meaningful chunk on top. So if you're starting from a paid-off gold wing sitting in your garage, a conversion might genuinely be the cheaper path to 3 wheels. If you need to buy the donor bike too, the math changes fast, and a factory trike can end up costing about the same or even less. The trade-off is warranty and paperwork. A conversion changes your title status in most states. It can complicate insurance slightly, and if something goes wrong at the weld, you're now dealing with a conversion shop, not the original manufacturer, not Honda or Harley-Davidson. A factory trike sidesteps all of that entirely with one manufacturer, one warranty document, and one number to call if anything goes wrong. There's also a licensing wrinkle worth flagging before you fall in love with either option. Some states require a completely different license class for a 3-wheeled vehicle, separate from your standard motorcycle endorsement, while others treat it exactly the same as any other bike. This is not the kind of thing to guess about. A 5-minute call to your state's Department of Motor Vehicles before you shop saves you from the genuinely deflating experience of buying the machine and then discovering you're not legally set up to ride it home. Neither option, factory or conversion, is wrong, but they are not the same decision. They carry different paperwork, different warranty coverage, and different long-term ownership costs. And conflating the two is exactly how riders end up disappointed 6 months into ownership. Here's a quick, honest way to picture it. A rider who already owns a paid-off gold wing and adds a conversion kit might be into 3 wheels for around $10,000 plus installation, keeping a bike they already trust completely. A rider starting from zero with no motorcycle in the garage is almost always better served shopping factory trikes directly, since the total cost of donor bike plus kit plus installation frequently lands close to, or even above, a brand new freewheeler or Riker anyway. Know which rider you actually are before you fall in love with either path. If this chapter just opened your eyes to which option you're leaning toward, hit that thumbs up so this video reaches the next rider who's about to make the same decision without doing this homework. So now you know what a trike fixes, what it doesn't, and how to buy one. But which specific machine actually matches your trigger? That's exactly what Chapter 5 breaks down. Turning sharply into Chapter 5, the main machines worth considering. Let's get specific. 5 machines, 5 very different answers to the question you're actually asking. And none of them are ranked against each other, because ranking them would miss the entire point of this video. Each one suits a genuinely different rider, a different budget, and a different one of those triggers from Chapter 1. So read your own situation against these, not a generic best of list. Let's get specific. 5 machines, 5 very different answers to the question you're actually asking, and none of them are ranked against each other, because ranking them would miss the entire point of this video. Each one suits a genuinely different rider, a different budget, and a different one of those triggers from Chapter 1. So read your own situation against these, not a generic best of list. But if you need real touring capability and a passenger seat that actually works, the Riker isn't your machine. Stick around because the next machine on this list might be. Starting strong at number 5, Can-Am Riker 2019 through 2026. This is the reverse trike. 2 wheels up front, 1 in back, and it runs a Rotax 900 Ace triple, displacing 899 cubic centimeters, making it the lightest, most approachable entry point in this entire list. New pricing starts around $9,699 for the base Riker and climbs to roughly $14,999 for the rally trim. Used examples, particularly 2021 and 2022 models, tend to land somewhere between $6,500 and $11,000 depending on mileage and trim. This one suits a rider who wants low seat height, a genuinely light and flickable feel, and a lower entry cost, and who mostly rides solo or short local loops rather than cross-country tours. If you're buying used, physically check the front suspension bushings and the CVT belt condition, since both wear based on riding style and both are common negotiating points. Routine maintenance on the Riker is generally cheaper than the larger trikes on this list too, since it shares its running gear with a smaller, simpler platform overall. If you think this trike is impressive, wait until you see its sibling that comes up next. Choosing right. At number 4, Can-Am Spyder RT 2020 through 2026. The bigger sibling, powered by a Rotax 1330, Ace triple displacing 1,330 cubic centimeters, built for 2, up touring with real storage and real wind protection. New pricing for the current C 𝐏𝐄𝐑 trim sits around $33,999 before the roughly $800 destination charge, with earlier RT trims starting somewhat lower. The used models typically run from around $19,000 up to $28,000. This suits a couple who wants to keep touring together, values weather protection and cargo room, and has already accepted the width trade-off from Chapter 3. Before buying used, physically check the semi-active suspension for error codes on the dash and confirm the electric parking brake engages cleanly, since both are known, fixable, but not cheap issues if neglected. Because this platform leans heavily on electronics, it's also worth asking any seller directly whether the bike has ever thrown a fault code, and if so, whether it was actually resolved or simply cleared. The Spyder RT solves the touring problem completely, but if a V-twin and a classic cruiser stance matter more to you than a triple and a tech stack, Harley-Davidson built something specifically for that rider. Standing tall at number 3, Harley-Davidson Freewheeler, 2015 through 2026. The stripped-down classic cruiser stance trike built on a conventional layout with one wheel up front and two in the back, powered by the Milwaukee 8 114 or 117 V-twin, displacing anywhere from 1868 to 1923 cubic centimeters depending on the model year. New pricing runs right around $32,000 for the current model year. Used examples span a wide range, roughly $17,000 up to just over $32,000, with an average closer to $24,000 on the used market. This suits a lifelong Harley rider who wants that familiar V-twin rumble and riding position without relearning an entirely different platform. Physically check the rear differential for any whine or play when rolling backward, and inspect the rear tire wear pattern for uneven scalloping, which can signal alignment issues from a hard life. Because this platform has been around since 2015 with only modest updates until the recent rear suspension redesign, older used examples are widely available, which gives you real room to negotiate on price. The Freewheeler is the familiar choice, but if you want full weather protection and a completely redesigned rear suspension under a Harley badge, there's a newer machine that changes the calculation entirely. Sounding into the number 2 spot, Harley-Davidson Road Glide 3 2026. The redesigned, more aggressive touring trike, sharing its fairing and much of its running gear with the two-wheeled Road Glide, powered by the Milwaukee 8 VVT 117, displacing 1923 cubic centimeters. New pricing starts around $35,399, making it a premium option compared with the Freewheeler. This suits a serious long-distance tourer who wants full weather protection, a completely reworked rear suspension with roughly 5 inches of travel, and modern electronics, and who's willing to pay for all of it. Because this is a brand new 2026 platform, used examples are essentially non-existent right now. So if you're buying one, you're buying new. And the physical check becomes a pre-delivery inspection instead, specifically confirming the new integrated reverse system engages smoothly in the parking lot before you ever leave the dealership. Its sibling, the Street Glide 3 Limited, starts around $39,199 and ADDs a larger touring trunk and premium finish for riders who want maximum storage over the Road Glide's sportier fairing. The Road Glide 3 is the most capable Harley trike ever built. But if you already have a gold wing in your garage and love everything about it except the two wheels, the last option on this list might be the smartest move you can make. Stealing hearts. At number 1, Honda Goldwing Trike Conversion 2018 and newer donor bikes. Honda has never built a factory trike, but authorized partners like Motor Trike and California Sidecar convert the Goldwing, with its flat 6 displacing 1833 cubic centimeters, into one of the smoothest three-wheeled tourers available. As covered in Chapter 4, a kit alone runs roughly $8,000 to $12,000 on top of the donor bike, while fully converted on the used market typically land between $17,000 and $28,000. This suits a Goldwing owner who already loves the platform's smoothness and simply wants 3 wheels under it, rather than a rider starting from scratch. If buying a used conversion, physically check the weld points and mounting brackets where the kit meets the original frame for any rust bleed or hairline cracking. And ask specifically which shop performed the conversion, because reputation in this niche varies enormously. A well-documented conversion from an established shop tends to hold its value far better at resale than a bargain conversion from a shop nobody in the local riding community has heard of. Before you fall in love with any of those machines, there's one more option the dealership will never voluntarily show you, and for some riders, it's the better answer entirely. leaving no stone unturned at Chapter 6, the honest alternative. Here's the chapter most trike videos skip entirely, and it's probably the most important one in this whole script. Not every rider whose knees or confidence are struggling actually needs 3 wheels, and it takes a certain amount of discipline to say that out loud on a channel that just spent 5 chapters showing you trikes. But honesty matters more than the algorithm. Sometimes the honest answer is a lighter 2-wheeler. Dropping from a 900-pound touring bike down to something in the 500 to 600-pound range, a smaller cruiser, or a modern middleweight can solve the standing weight problem and the getting on and off problem without ever touching the cornering feel you already know and trust. It's a smaller, cheaper, far less discussed fix. And for a rider whose main trigger was purely physical weight rather than balance anxiety, it can be the better move entirely. And then there's the sidecar, the genuinely overlooked option in this whole conversation. A sidecar rig keeps you on essentially your existing motorcycle, adds a 3rd wheel off to one side rather than replacing the whole rear end, and gives you the same tip-proof stability at a stop that a trike offers, often for less money than a full conversion kit. The steering feel is its own unique skill to learn. Arguably a bigger relearn than a trike in some ways, but the machine underneath you stays, largely the bike you already know. Cost-wise, a quality sidecar rig, meaning the sidecar unit plus professional mounting onto an existing bike, often lands somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000, which puts it comfortably below most trike conversion kits and well below any factory trike on this list. It's not automatically the cheaper choice once you account for the specialized tires and the mounting hardware some bikes need, but it is consistently the lightest touch on your wallet and on the original machine you already love. The point of this chapter isn't to talk you out of a trike. Is to make sure that if you do buy one, it's because you compared it honestly against these alternatives, the lighter 2-wheeler and the sidecar, and the trike still won on its own merits, not because it was simply the first 3-wheeled option a salesperson happened to roll out onto the showroom floor the day you walked in. Knowing which machine is right means nothing if you sign on the wrong one. So, Chapter 7 shows you exactly how to pressure test this decision before a single dollar leaves your pocket, crossing the finish line. At Chapter 7, how to test the decision before spending the money. Before any of this becomes a purchase, here's how to actually pressure test it. Rent one first. Most regions with a Can-Am or Harley Trike dealer network also have rental outfits that will put you on a Ryker, a Spider, or a freewheeler for a day or a weekend. Spend real money on a rental before you spend real money on ownership. It's the cheapest insurance in this entire video. Ride it in your actual conditions, not just an empty parking lot loop the salesperson sets up. Take it through your regular grocery run, your usual tight neighborhood streets, the parking garage you use every week. The parking lot demo lies to you. Your real week does not. Find a local trike club or a Facebook group specific to your state before you buy, not after. Owners in these groups will tell you, unprompted, which dealer treated them fairly and which one disappeared after the sale. And that kind of local intel is worth more than any spec sheet. Talk to owners at a rally or a dealer event who are 2 or 3 years into ownership, not 6 months in. The tire costs, the parking frustration, the resale reality, those all show up after the honeymoon period, and the riders who've lived with it that long will tell you the truth if you simply ask them directly. Run the numbers before you run the engine too. Sit down with the actual purchase price, the insurance quote you got from that phone call in Chapter 4, a realistic tire replacement budget based on the mileage you actually ride each year, and compare that full picture against the lighter 2-wheeler and sidecar numbers from Chapter 6 side by side on paper. It's a boring step, and it's the single most effective way to avoid a decision you regret 12 months in. And finally, be honest with yourself about which trigger from Chapter 1 is actually driving this decision. The low speed balance, the weight at a stop, the knees, the confidence, or that quiet close call nobody else knows about. That answer determines whether a trike, a lighter bike, or a sidecar is the genuinely correct tool for you. Specifically, not just the most obvious one sitting on the showroom floor. So there's your honest answer. Want to continue the ride? Click on the next video, join the tribe, and subscribe, and when you hit the road, don't forget to put on your helmet.